Hi there, poetry freaks, and welcome to Bush Slam for another week. This is the show that puts poets and poetry in motion across Australia. I am H.D. Nelson, high in the slam saddle, horsing around the high country with an ear out for a verse that tells a big tale. Banjo Patterson set the poetry bar up here when he knocked out the man from Snowy River. But what will a couple of modern word wranglers make of the joint?
Wow.
The slammers have 3 days to capture the magic of the high country, and then the tricky bit. They have to perform their poetry before the citizens of the joint for a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Let's get the poetry in motion and meet our stars of the stubble.
Hi, I'm Ezra Bix. I'm a performance poet. I've been doing it for a couple of years now. I come from Victoria. I'm a Melbourne boy. I use a few different styles. Flippant, stupid, sometimes a little bit comic. Mrs. Brianna Bulbar, driving her supersized Sherman tank to the end-of-year polo club function through the harsh, unforgiving, rocky terrain that is known as Camberwell Junction. I've been swatting up on Banjo Patterson a bit, and I'm keen to get a bit of a taste of places he visited and the atmosphere that he lived in.
Hi, I'm Emily Ballou. I'm a poet, novelist and a screenwriter, and I've lived in Australia for 20 years. I'm living in Glasgow at the moment. I have a partner that lives there, so unfortunately I've had to leave Australia. While I'm here, I'm really hoping to see as much of the landscape as I can and get a sense of the history of this particular part of the snowy region. By night, the dark blue clouds had gathered over the amphitheatre of stone that the sky threatened again to fill. I don't think there's a recipe for how to write a poem. It's a gift and you don't know whether you'll get it.
In Tintooldra, we have the poet in the post office concept. It's a beautiful high country concept. And Betty over here is the chairman of the board with the poets, and she'll be very impressed by your clothes.
Well, yeah.
Great to see you've gone to a bit of an effort to...
Good day.
Betty, I'm HG, and this is the master poet Ezra, so you two will have a lot in common. Now let's get in out of the sun, and maybe we'll have a summit. Well, Betty, you're one of the few remaining poets in a post office. Can I ask, what do you like in poetry?
I love poetry from the point of view of our history. History in a short few words. I love a sunburnt country. Right. Mm-hmm. You can imagine that straight away.
A land of sweeping plains.
Yes.
There they are. Do you have a favourite, in the traditional bush ballad gear? Do you have a favourite that comes to mind quickly?
I love banjo, but I do love Henry Lawson. Dear old Henry, I mean, he was drunk most of the time.
Well, we won't hold that against him.
No.
He could bang a few words together.
He could, and he did them brilliantly. One I like very much about his is The Squatter's Daughter, where he has a real poke at squattocracy. The landowning type and how they tried to run everything, and it's a brilliant poem.
There you go, Ezra. Obviously, I don't connect you with the bush ballad at all. I may be wrong. How do you get on with Betty's position here?
Yeah, look, I like a bit of old school. I'm just wondering, Betty, what do you think about poets who don't rhyme? What should we do with them?
Well, they're not my cup of tea. I'd take them down on the bridge and have some cement shoes and say, now let's see you jump. Then come back when you can rhyme.
Oh, well, look, Emily, I can see what you mean about the romance of it all. It's so romantic, isn't it? Just the dust, the horse poo, the rather constrained circumstances of the drought and the cows off in the distance coming in. But it is romantic, isn't it? And it's great to see it still living on.
It is. Although there's something missing from this romance, which is You need the male and the female to make it really work, I think.
Right, right. I hadn't thought of that so much. I
You've
just
got
thought...
the one man on the horse. Need the woman on the horse.
Fair enough. So you need two. I just thought of cows, horse, bloke.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah,
That's good. That's a
almost
good
there.
beginning.
Good beginning. And now what you've shown us today, Jeff, you know, has it changed much in the 100 years since they wrote The Man from Snowy River?
No, look, it hasn't changed at all. I think people have just lost the art of mustering now. A lot of them don't. They want to
They're
use.
not interested anymore.
Yeah, not interested in the horse and the atmosphere of doing it on the horse.
So what do they do? Use cars? And...
No, cars and motorbikes and stuff.
Quads, they use a lot of quads, don't they?
Yeah,
Around a four-wheel
just
drive.
roar out.
Obviously, if you had cattle up in the scrub up here behind us, you'd need a horse to get up there and get it out. Yeah, the paddocks are more easy access, sort of, for the cars.
I've got a couple of clients, and we just did a little trial. And we did one lot with the bikes, and one lot on the horses. Although it was slower with the horses, the cattle were more settled like these cattle here. They weren't upset at all.
So they were calmer,
a lot calmer, a lot easier.
happier.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the beauty I find in the horse.
That's the romance, calmness.
Stuart, we're at the grave of Jack Riley. Can you resolve all the disputes? Was he the man from Snowy River?
Well, I think that's a big ask to say to resolve it, but at least our man met Banjo Patterson, and I'm not sure whether all the others did, but they say after a couple of bottles of scotch, all sorts of stories flowed, and well, the result, as we know, is the poem, and it's an excellent poem, as you know. Well, it's an icon.
Is it true that Jack Riley showed Banjo Patterson Snowy River itself?
Well, according to Jean Carmody, who's written a book about this, she said that while he was up there, Jack took him up onto Kosciuszko's side, as they say, and showed him and said, look, and by the way, that's the Snowy River, which starts right here. And I think that probably got into Banjo's head, and he thought, well, the man from Snowy River sounds a bit better than the man from Murray River, doesn't it?
If I start you off, could we see how far you get, Stuart? There was movement at the station.
For the word had passed around, and don't ask me anymore. But the cold from old regret had got away.
I love being here because it reminds you such a great story that became a great fiction, a great movie, is based on fact. I do jot things down all the time on paper. Nothing has struck me straight away, but this is the sort of place you might walk away from and go, yeah, that made me think of something or feel something.
To be honest, I don't know that I think when I walk through something like this. It's more that words will come into my head or a rhythm will come into my head and I copy it down. I think to say I'm thinking or planning, that's not really how I work. But of course I'm overwhelmed by the landscape because this is a very much loved landscape for me.
Well, Emily, there's a lot to take on. I mean, there's so much to take on. How's the poem progressing?
I don't know, there's not always just one poem, but I do love this landscape, and I was just writing just over there. This is an old creek bed that's dried up.
And did you get something out of that?
I did.
What have you got for me?
Crevasse of old creek bed, the cut bends, bone-filled, at the bleached base of the hill. The windings of time, the snake signs, dried as sloughed skins on the ground.
Wow. Long way from Glasgow.
Indeed, happily.
And a long night ahead.
Yep, no sleep tonight. I'm so tired I could weep. I haven't slept like more than 3 hours in the last 5, 6 nights, so I'm just like a lunatic. I have an idea that I guess I want to write something about what I'm experiencing here, not only during the day, but revisiting in my head continually at night when I'm awake. So hopefully I can pull something out of the hat.
I'm really interested to write something about the bushfires, relating to the worst fires in Australian history we just had. I think it's a huge issue. I think it's the most important thing that's happening in country Australia at the moment, and it'll get into the poem for sure somehow. In Banjo Patterson's time, the stockmen were the romanticised heroes of the day. It's very different now. Our real heroes are guys like these. Do the locals treat you like heroes?
You just another person.
Heroes.
Just another person.
Just another person.
Right.
Yeah, we're just everyday people, not heroes.
You don't join to be a hero.
No.
Sure.
You just join to do a job.
Now, you guys helped out in Beechworth recently, the part of the big fires. What was the feeling during the worst of it?
Didn't have time to have feelings.
Right.
But it gets pretty hairy at times, so you just deal with it.
How did you come to be fireman? What got you into it?
I suppose it's your tradition that you look after your own property as well as your neighbouring property as well.
Yeah.
When in time of assistance, they come to help you and you go to assist them.
I love old houses. I lived at a squat in Newtown for a while, and that was a very beautiful experience. It's almost like living in the 19th century, even though you're in the modern world, and I'm drawn to it. I'm loving the light in here, and just the windows, the shapes, the light coming through the curtains, and everything's kind of on an angle, sinking into the ground again. And it's quite sad or something. There's some real sadness feels to me in here. Maybe it's just my interpretation of, rather than the actuality of what went on.
This house here, it was built by my mother and father. They did it the hard way. They started off, cut the trees and dragged the logs with the bullocks down to the mill. And they sawed the timber, and they built the house.
How long's the house been abandoned for?
Oh, it'd be, say about 20 years. I live in Toolander, and son and I would come up here every weekend. We run a few cattle here and keep a bit of an eye on it.
You didn't want to empty it out, you just thought
No, we
leave.
took a lot of stuff out of it, but there's still stuff there that we left behind. Bit of a hard thing to break it all up.
Look, how are you going here? You've got the laptop out. We sort of feel as though we've channeled Corryong, the world around this upper Snowy. The man from Snowy River is here. How you going?
All right, yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Give us a few ideas.
That's a good page. That's
It is
got
very good
nothing on it.
page,
Yeah, I'm looking at sort of the weather patterns are strange around here. Betty was saying yesterday, the wind for decades been a certain way, and now it's getting weird. Global warming, what's happening? So maybe someone has angered the gods or angered the pride of the ghost of the man from Snowy River by saying they thought that Tom Burlinson was a bit of a Sheila. Or maybe, maybe the gods have just had too much tequila. That's what...
Now, the shrine behind us, what have you assembled in the shrine, which we might be able to have a look at?
Oh, yes, certainly. I've been given some fantastic clippings from the pub, history of this region. It's a fascinating thing. It's a little snapshot of an Aussie country town, and some brilliant things there. I learned about some people that have suffered from bushfire and things. Yeah, so it's just soaking it all up.
Ezra is wrestling with two great high country themes, the legacy of the man from Snowy River and the ever-present bushfire menace. But Emily's poem will be shaped by how much snooze time she scores between now and tomorrow night's Bush Slam.
The man from Snowy River, obviously you guys are continuing that great tradition. Do you feel, I don't know, any sense of responsibility of carrying that tradition on?
Oh, for sure, don't we?
It's very much a part of the area, very much a part of us, you know. We all want to be the man from Snowy River, there's no doubt about that.
You are, you are.
We all have a lot of fun, trying to be.
How long have you been riding for?
Oh, a long time, since I was, 3 or 4.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
My brother's a horse breaker, my dad's a horse breaker, and his father was a horse breaker. So it's sort of come down the line.
Right, yeah. If I start a line, see how you go with this. There was movement at the station, for the word had passed around that the colt from Old Regret had got away.
Enjoying the wild bush horses. He wasn't worth a lot. Oh, he was worth £1,000. Oh, lucky let go.
Yeah, I'll never go.
Oh, yeah? All right, OK.
There was movement at the station, for the word had passed around. The colt from Old Regret had got away. And had joined the wild bush horses, he was worth £1,000, and all the cracks had gathered to the fray. All the tried and noted riders from the stations near and far had mustered at the homestead overnight, for the bushmen love hard riding where the wild bush horses are, and a stock all snuffs the battle with delight.
That's great.
Well done, Lungy. Fantastic.
I think the main thing is a good poem has a structure to it, and I guess just like any story, it's a narrative of sorts, even if it's not necessarily a narrative. So you have to know what to kill, you know, what to keep. I don't know that my instincts are 100% right now. And usually I would leave it for a few days and maybe come back to it, and it would all be clear what's right and what's not working. But I don't have the luxury of that time, so I'll just have to hope for the best.
Ezra, what's in the poem? I can see it's almost complete.
Pretty much got ready to rock.
Yes.
I've mentioned the fires, big fires around here in 2003.
Yeah.
And saw the Brumbies today, so the hero of the poem is a Brumby.
That's fantastic. Look, just get any lines you'd like to pick out for us?
Look, I've got one here about you must have got caught in the fire at Oak Hill.
Yes.
Oak Hill's a place not too far from here. Big fires everywhere around here, and that's in there because I needed something of 2 syllables with the stress on the second syllable. Corryong and Tintaldra just
don't do it for you.
No.
A lot of fire references in your poem.
Indeed.
Have you lit a few in your time?
Only on the end of cigarettes. No, I'm a Melbourne boy. We had some big fires in Victoria recently. I just knew someone who lost their lives recently, and so it's a big issue for me.
And now to get the slam underway here in Tintaldra in the Upper Murray. Can you give a big, rowdy Upper Murray welcome to the man in blue and green? You know who he is. I can't hold him from you. Here he is, Ezra Bix.
Thank you so much. Thank you. This is called Banjo Patterson Never Played the Banjo. Waltzing Matilda is not a waltz, it's in 4/4 time, and things are not what they seem. Now, horses usually keep to themselves, but believe me, I'm being sincere when I tell you I saw a Brumby walk into the Tintaldra Hotel for a beer. He sipped shyly at first, as if thirst was demeaning, but soon he was swigging down a second drink. For the third, he preferred to scull it in one, and the fourth disappeared in a blink. He proceeded to drain a dozen more beers in 2 minutes, 10 seconds flat. And then he wiped his wet lips on the side of his shank and said, "Struth, mate, I sure needed that." I've not seen it so hot in all of my days. It's hotter than coals on the sun. "A record, they say," chimed in Fireman Kev. "According to Mr. Brumby, if you'll pardon the pun." "That Brumby's a goose," said our high country friend, "and things are not what they seem." He pointed his hoof as he made this last point, and I saw that his eye had a gleam of anger. For his hoof was all burnt and dreadfully scarred, as were the rest of his hooves. I said, "Mate, you must have got caught in the fire at Oak Hill." He said, "It sprang up just too bloody quick. We've never seen fire as fast or as fierce. This thing's got us all worried sick. What the blazes is going on with the weather?" No one answered. With that, the lame Brumby limped out of the pub and disappeared into the pale Murray scrub. Waltzing Matilda is no happy dance, for Matilda's nobody's girl. An old tramp should be able to tell you what it means, or folk from the bush that lost all in a fire. All your possessions in one little bag. They used to say to leave early or stay on and fight. You can stare down a blaze and beat it. Well, I suppose a bloke can always dream, but it sure seems to me things are not what they seem.
And now the second competitor tonight here in the Tintaldra Hotel here, located in the Upper Murray, has come all the way from Glasgow, ladies and gentlemen. Can you give her a warm, rowdy reception for Emily Ballou?
Thank you, thank you. This is my Snowy Mountains Insomniac poem called While You Were Sleeping. After the golden light has fallen over the felted fingers of Mount Midamatite, I toss in my sheets, I cannot sleep, so try wandering in my head, the old creek bed, the crevasse that bends, bone-filled at the bleached base of the granite hill. I get up, go walking, still dazed, past the yellow windows of the blue house where another is inside, awake. Past the horse floats and the mailboxes, the three-legged dog hopping along the fence. Soon the rooster crows, a ute slides around morning's corners, its kelpie upstanding on the silver tray. I pass a man carefully guiding his child across the empty road, telling him to go, go, ride across when it's clear, go when you can, recalling his own urge to freedom. I follow his bicycle to the edges of town and climb the small path gouged into the slope. I touch one finger to the raised veins of the gum tree and feel the avalanche of hooves coming through the peppermint until my legs fall out from under me. Only then, at last, do I sleep. So tomorrow, when the birds have called last drinks and the young men gather at the pub and the sun sinks, I will recall the woman folding clothes near the piano she wants instead to be playing, and does play, finally, years later, her husband now dead, in the old house where she raised her children and then watched them leave into the distance without her, go, go, playing the music of the house, her fingers sinking into the low, incessant note those long silent nights will not let her forget. Soon, she too, as we all do, will go while you were sleeping. Thank you.
And so Tin Taldra here in the Upper Murray. If you thought the man in green's poem was the best, cheer now. And now, if you thought the woman in pink's poem was the best, cheer now. Therefore, by the barest of margins, I declare Emily Ballou the winner.
I like both of them, but I did vote for Emily.
They were both good. I enjoyed them both.
I like the ladies' poem the best. I just thought it was very touching and it really got to my heart.
I liked Emily's. I think it had a lot of feel in it. And for a lady who's come from another country to, come to Australia and get a feel for our country and our way of life, she did very, very well.